What's up? It's Willie McGinnis, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and I'm hanging out with my man Chris Palme. Okay, Chris does a podcast, 30 Minutes Live with CDP Podcast, every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. Make sure everybody tunes in, okay, to my man Chris Palme's podcast. Again, it's every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you guys check him out.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your bro CDP here on this special Thursday night edition of 30 Minutes Live with CDP. I'm just waiting for my guest, Brad Galli, the sports anchor and reporter from WXYZ, Channel 7 in Detroit. I've been looking forward to talking to Brad for a while. He's a huge sports fan like I am, and he's into sports cards and Star Wars and all that too. So just give me a minute and I will bring Brad on in 1 second. I just really appreciate Brad coming on tonight. And just bear with me 1 second and we will bring Brad on. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
What's up, Chris? How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. I always appreciate the positive attitude you're always putting out on social media. And so getting to talk to you in person or at least video to video is refreshing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I even got my Tigers jersey hoodie on today too. So
Nice.
I know another loss 12-9 to Boston today.
Yeah, it was, man, what a long series. As I'm sitting here looking and we're putting together our 6 o'clock sportscast, I thought that was going to be the first thing I'd be able to knock out today, but turned out it was the last thing because these games were just so long and grinding. And man, I thought they were going to pull it out at the end there, but that bullpen just worst in baseball so far this season. But we've said that for a lot of elements within this Tigers team.
I was going to say at least they've scored 15 runs the last two games, but then the pitching it's been inconsistent. So I really thought this team was going to win at least 70, 72 games this year, but it looks like at this pace, they'd be lucky to win 40.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I thought there was a lot of, I just think the thing that I think we all expected was last year, Jonathan Scope started off so well. When you looked at the guys around him that they kind of added, things were working out. But one thing Al Avila's really struggled to do is go sign those cheap pitchers and have them work out. And it's like we're all being fooled, but we're not, because we see that the results just aren't there. And so the back end of their rotation has not been good in his tenure here at all. And I know they're rebuilding and they're pulling this thing, way down to the scraps here, but you got to put some serviceable major league pitchers on that roster. And the biggest thing too is the lineup. I mean, they are just going bottom of the barrel, trying to scrape and convince, everybody that likes this team that, I mean, they don't even have a first baseman, Chris. They don't have a full-time first baseman on this roster. And so for Avila to go out and for Chris Ilitch and the ownership to say that this is an acceptable product for teams to, for people to come out and pay to see, it's been a bummer because we saw glimmers of hope last year with some of the free agent pickups, and we've not seen any of that this year so far.
I was going to say, and they're still stuck with Miguel Cabrera's contract for another, 3 years at least?
2 more full seasons, 22 and 23, 2 more full seasons. And it was interesting, right? I mean, the first thing you thought of, I'm sure, was the first thing I thought of when I saw the Albert Pujols news today. Wow, when would the Tigers pull the trigger and do that? And then the second thing I thought of was something I've been talking about with my buddy Steve today, my friends and coworkers Dave and Alan last night. The Tigers, I bet, really want him to get those milestones, 500 home runs and 3,000 hits in a Tigers uniform, because at this point, you're still paying him the money. Yes, It's absolutely exhausted watching him continue to fail, but, he's been here for a long enough time that baseball history is going to be important to anybody involved in the game, and I'm sure for Avila and the Ilitch family, that part of it is still somewhat important to them.
I was going to say it's been a tough time for pro sports teams in Michigan the last number of years. So
yes, it has. And we were even talking today, about the Red Wings looking at this weekend, and they needed to lose both games to put themselves in a spot to even be in that bottom, lottery eligible, picture there, which is crazy because that season has been a rough one to watch. And then all of a sudden you think, wow, there are that many teams that have been worse than the Red Wings this year. It really goes to show just how tough things are for Detroit sports fans right now.
But I was gonna say, I do think Jeff Blashill should get another year. I do think I think Steve's gonna re-sign him because I think I don't know. That's my gut feeling,
Yeah.
and I think Yzerman will get this team in the right direction. I really do. I do think they showed signs of being more competitive and more difficult to beat. And Thomas Grice lately has been playing better in that too.
You know what, man? The signs of growth have not, hit us in the face. They haven't been jarring. They haven't been overwhelming, but they've been there. And I think that's bold considering where this roster was coming into the season. When you have guys like Filppula, Nielsen, Helm,
Yep.
on the roster, Mark Stahl on the back end, DeKaiser, as much as I've liked covering Danny DeKaiser in his career. I mean, these guys are on the last legs of their career. And if it weren't for the Red Wings, you wonder if they'd still be in the league. Sam Gagne has provided them with some good two-way depth. But yeah, man, I really like Jeff Blashill as a human being. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think if Steve Yzerman tells him at the end of the year, we're going to go in a different direction, thanks for your time, I think, Chris, he'd get a job like that. And I really believe wherever Jeff Blashill spends his next 5, 6, 7 years, we will see him with the Stanley Cup over his head. And I know a lot of Red Wings fans would go, "You're absolutely insane." But he is so well respected around the league. People talk out loud about it, Chris. They talk about it behind the scenes. Blashill talks enough about his relationships. And then you just look at the gigs he gets coaching USA Hockey, repeatedly being in the conversation for anything USA Hockey, and just a lot of tenure in a place like this, in a hockey market like this. I also think speaks volumes. There's a lot of turnover in coaching in professional sports in North America, and he's maintained himself as one of the longest tenured coaches. That's not by accident.
Well, I was going to say, I trust Steve Yzerman, so I think the team is in the right direction. And I even think the Pistons, I think they're in the right direction too. And I think Dwayne Casey has done, I know they've only won 19 games this year, but you know what? I think he's done a really good job with the young guys on the Pistons too.
Have they been exciting to watch or what, man? Wow.
Yes.
That rookie class has, I think, surprised all of us. We all looked at Killian Hayes and thought, okay, they're finally gonna get that talent that could be elite, right? The kid that was just groomed overseas, born here, but absolutely became a man before a lot of these guys. And I think the injury really, really bummed the Pistons out, just to think of what they could do with that trio of first rounders. At first, I'll be honest, with Isaiah Stewart, when people said, "Oh, this is great, look at the big man hustle," my first thought went to, we just did this with Andre Drummond for a long time. We watched a big man lead this team, and it went nowhere. The Pistons went nowhere. The team went nowhere with Andre Drummond as the focal point. But Isaiah Stewart is not Andre Drummond. I mean, he plays with energy. He's got an offensive knack. He's a different build. He's got great passing ability, and his vision is fantastic. And you consider that he's just a rookie and how much he's played against top-tier big men in this league, in a league that's evolving where you have to be multi and you have to have different assets to your game. He's already showed he can hang and compete with some of the best guys in the league at that 5 spot or at the 4. Saban Lee has been impressive, but really the story for me has been Sadiq Bey. He looks like a grown man, Chris. He looks like a grown man who has been through battle-tested wars. He's been fantastic, and I think between him and Jeremy Grant, those are the pieces you build around in Detroit, and you hope Killian Hayes can take steps next year to join them as the trio of the future.
I was going to say, and I think the Pistons finally have stability with Troy Weaver and Dwayne Casey. I want to see them there for a while because, like I said, when teams are losing or in a losing culture, they go through GMs and coaches left, right, and center, as you know, with the Pistons. And I really hope those two are there. And it looks like the Red Wings have stability too with Yzerman and Blashill, in my opinion. And I know the Tigers right now are not very good, but I think AJ Hinch is a good manager, and I think that's the right move. I just don't know if Al Avila is the right man to get this ship turned around in Detroit.
That's the big question, right? Like, where do they go next with that spot? Because Avila has been here for a while. He was part of the teardown. They're still tearing it down with Cabrera's contract still sitting there. I'm curious if they'll spend. Money on any sort of free agent pickups that are worthwhile to point to celebrate before Cabrera's deal is up. And that's kind of scary because he has 2 more full seasons on it. And Avila told me before the season, Chris, I said, was there a point where you went to go knock on his door, Chris Ilitch and ownership, to say, can we spend a little bit more? Can we push it a little bit? Because if you look around the AL Central, the Indians are young and obviously rebuilding, which is crazy because they were in the World Series 5 minutes ago. The Royals are young, but made really smart moves in the offseason and did what I think the Tigers could and maybe should have done with a young staff and some young pieces in their infield. They went out and made important, smart signings. And look at what they've done already this season. You look at the White Sox, which were the class of the division with the Twins. The Twins have built that program well, and something that the Tigers, I'm sure, are trying to model themselves after, but they're not the Twins. So you have to spend a little bit to win a little bit. The Tigers chose not to, and Avila said, you have to be patient. And he said he's not a patient man, but he said where the organization is right now, their big goal is to try to develop the young pitching. And he said once they do that, then they'll start to spend. To me, Chris, that's a great plan, but it's already shown to be very risky, because if you just lend yourself to just betting on young arms, to me, it comes across as cheap, and it comes across as very risky, because as you've seen already in Chicago this year, Luis Robert goes down, one other person goes down, and you're looking at Chicago not competing for that division, and it's a wasted year. Not intentionally, because they've spent money, but man, the Tigers have really put themselves in a hole by not spending a lot of money. And you wonder, is this all on Chris Ilitch saying Avila shouldn't spend the money? Or should we put a lot of this on Avila because of the failed trades? And to me, I'll throw it right back to you, man. Those failed trades, they continue to stick out. It's a pretty ugly picture, isn't it?
I agree. I definitely agree. I put it on both of them. Yeah, definitely. So anyways, is it okay if I ask you some questions too? Before I ask you a couple of questions, I just want to show you.
Yeah.
I know you're a guy. I've got a Steve Yzerman autographed puck and his 1983 O-Pee-Chee rookie card.
Oh, it's the O-Pee-Chee. That's nice,
yeah.
man.
You remember O-Pee-Chee?
Really nice. Heck yeah, dude. Upper Deck has the license for that name now, and cool. They throw in the retro sets there every year. But that's a keeper, man. That's one of the best.
Yeah, and then I got this from Stevie Yzerman in 1991 in Buffalo. Signed a card for me. This is his 89 Topps card.
Nice. There you go, man.
Yeah, and then this is my favorite Tigers card. This is a 78 mint condition Topps Alan Trammell, Paul Molitor rookie card.
Whoa. Wow.
Unfortunately, they got Mickey Klutz, Yankees, no-namer, and UL Washington, who was a serviceable player on it, too.
That's really nice, man. Chris, those are slick.
Yeah, like I said, I collected as a hobby, too, so. Barry Sanders autograph card.
Barry autograph, dang.
Yep. And then the last one I'll show you. It'd take me too long to show you all of them, but this is a Peyton Manning autograph card, but he signed his dad's card for me.
No
Archie
way.
Manning. Yeah, Archie Manning, 82 Topps. He saw it and he goes, yeah, I'll sign it for you. And this is one of my cherished possessions, this card right here.
Where'd you meet Peyton?
Buffalo, 2001.
Wow. Can I tell you my Peyton Manning story? Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
You remember the melon commercial they did? I think it was for MasterCard. I think somebody was in the store and the Manning brothers were there in the commercial in the bit. I don't really remember how it all went, but somebody said, hey, will you sign this melon? And they pulled the melon off the shelf because they were so excited to meet the Manning brothers. It was the Super Bowl in Detroit, and my friends and I were in high school, and we had just been a part of the state championship high school football team that previous November. And I don't think we had our championship rings yet, but it was obviously February, and there were Super Bowl parties everywhere, Chris, everywhere in town. And we were looking around and trying to see if we could, not get into any because we were teenagers, but at least just try to, bump elbows, brush elbows with anybody. And we got a tip from a friend whose dad ran a restaurant or worked at a restaurant that the Manning family was going to be eating with Gatorade execs next to the movie theater in one of the local towns. So we're like, well, this is great. We'll go to a movie, and then when we're out of the movie, we'll go see Peyton Manning. So we do it, and my one friend goes, I'm gonna grab a melon, like the commercial in the bit. So he grabs the melon, and we're standing outside the restaurant, and Peyton Manning comes out, and our friend's dad goes, hey, Peyton, I hope you don't mind. I told them you were eating here because they're part of the state championship football team. They won the state championship in town. And I didn't play a single down in the state championship. You know what I mean? I was no good, but milked it for all I could. And Peyton couldn't have been more gracious. Signs, some pictures and stuff for us. And then my buddy goes, my buddy's cousin goes, will you sign this melon for me? And he goes, oh, I love the commercial, blah, blah, blah. That's so funny that you brought that. And I was an idiot. My friend's cousin goes, will you give me another one of the pictures so I can ask him to sign it? I was like, dude, we can't be greedy. We're sitting out here after the restaurant. He's like, who are you to be the moral police for Peyton Manning? So I didn't give him another one of my pictures. It was a selfish, silly move. But I'm like, if I give him two, if I give you two, and then he's not going to sign for all of us, he'll be so mad. Why? We can't do that. And to this day, that guy's always just like, I don't have a Peyton Manning autograph because you wouldn't give it to me. I was like, you didn't skin the melon? He goes, no, I threw that thing away, man. It rotted. So I felt really bad. But Peyton Manning was really nice. And we took a big picture with him, and I have it hung in my house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really
that's
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, him and Joe Montana are my goats. Like Joe Montana, I have his autograph too, and Peyton Manning. And I was at Tom Brady's first NFL game, July 31st, 2000 at Canton, Ohio, against the 49ers on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that game because I ended up getting food poisoning, and it was not a fun time. And I got through it, but yeah, Brady came in as the fourth-string quarterback, and I'm like, wow, this kid from Michigan is. I was impressed even then when he came in against the Niners.
You still have the ticket?
Ticket stub, yes, I do, sir.
If you look up, I literally 10 minutes before we went on, Steve, who owns Rochester Sports Cards and Memorabilia, we were just chatting, and he goes, look at this. And he sent me a picture of Brady's first game. Somebody had a ticket up on eBay. I think it was like for 20 grand.
Wow.
That was at the Silverdome when he came in.
Okay, mine was the preseason.
Yeah.
Oh, mine was the preseason.
Make a couple grand. Post that thing on eBay. Let's go, huh?
Wow. I love collecting stuff, because I'm a huge sports fan. So, but anyways, like I said, is it okay if I ask you some questions?
Absolutely, man.
Okay. First one is, can you just tell us or my audience a little bit about yourself, and when did you know you wanted to pursue a career in broadcasting media, and what school did you attend?
So that the story I was telling you about not being a very good football player lends itself to this answer. I loved sports growing up, Chris. Always just fell in love with hockey growing up in Detroit in the 90s. Football in America is such a big thing, and just overwhelmed myself with anything I could. Reading the back of cards, that's how I got into collecting. Drawing. My whole family on my dad's side is a family of artists, and so I would draw goalies and pads and helmets and come up with designs. And I said, I'm going to play in the NHL. Well, then that dream became, got a reality check pretty quickly in high school. And I started playing football and realized that there was no path to anything past high school football for me. I said, I like to talk. And so I was doing the daily announcements in high school at Brother Rice in Birmingham, Michigan, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Did the daily announcements, started announcing the basketball games, just emceeing and saying the names of the players before the game, and said, that would be kind of fun to be a play-by-play announcer. So I went to college at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where Dwayne Wade went, and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was graduated the same year as me. I got to cover him there for the basketball team. I tried play-by-play, Chris, for soccer, volleyball, did it for a few years, did basketball for a little bit. It felt like I was wearing shoes that were on the wrong feet. And I put the shoes on the right feet, and all of a sudden fell in love with anchoring and really fell in love with reporting and telling stories. And we as a group at Marquette, there were a few of us, good friends of mine, Todd, Chris, and Jody. We said, what can we do to really get attention to find jobs? And we said, well, covering this basketball team, right? Dwayne Wade went here. Like, you may not know where Marquette is or know much about it, but I tell you, Dwayne Wade, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's near Milwaukee, isn't it?
Yeah, right in downtown Milwaukee. Yeah. But we're like, listen, the attention on our school is through the basketball program. And so we created a magazine show, and we went and did a weekly show just about the basketball team. And we put it out on YouTube, created a website. We went big on social and digital with it all, and traveled to try to cover the team as much as we could. And we got lucky because the team was really good. They were ranked 8th in the country my junior year, went to the Sweet 16 my senior year. And so surrounding ourselves with that kind of content and putting that content out really helped us. And throughout those last 2 years of college, I interned at WXYZ here for Don Shane, Tom Lydon, Reggie Hall, and Ray Giannakaitis in the sports department here. And it turned into a job after college. So that's how it all kind of went down. I watched Don anchor, forever as a kid, and then got to intern with him. But I really loved too watching Tom report. He did such a great job just connecting with people and then sharing those stories in such a unique, creative way on the air. And so that's where I find myself today.
Okay. My next question I was going to ask you, Brad, because I sometimes talk a lot and I don't want to take you too long, but I was going to ask you, did you have a mentor when you first started on the industry? And my friend Beth McLeod wanted me to, I was going to bring this up with you too.
Yeah.
Any thoughts of the late, great Fred McLeod?
Yeah, man, I'll start with the first part of it. Tom Lydon was my mentor here, sat in this chair, and he was the sports director for a few years after Don Shane retired. And both of those guys mean the world to me, Don and Tom, just the way they raised me. And our late producer, Reggie Hall, and our other late producer, Ray J, we've suffered some losses here in our own sports department over the last few years. And those two guys behind the scenes really guided me as an intern, helped me take steps as a professional. But, Tom really went over and above when I was in college, helped me cover, allowed me to cover the Lions while I was in college. I got to go to Lambeau and cover the team. And so that was special, learning from him, and it still is. And we're still great friends to this day, and I still lean on him and love to learn from him just about everything in life. And when you look at a guy like Fred McLeod and the impact he had on this community, starting state champs, it's funny, everyone talks about, the job he did with the Cavs.
Yep.
And that's amazing. And calling LeBron James and winning an NBA championship is so
Pretty
valuable. Special. Yeah, it is special. And it's so valuable to that community. But here, Chris, in Metro Detroit, if you knew there was a state champs camera at your game, at a practice, if they were coming to talk to you, it was a big deal. And Fred, in creating that, changed the landscape of high school sports here. And something we talk about all the time in our department, we love covering high school sports stories. And yesterday, our newscast got collapsed because we had some extended news coverage, and our sportscast got collapsed, excuse me. And I actually we didn't even do Tyler Bertuzzi news about the surgery on the 6 o'clock news. I said, listen, everybody by now knows about it. We can add in new elements tonight. We were going to hear from Jeff Blashill and the whole deal. I said, we've got to hit some high school news. Well, in this market, that may sound crazy because you have 4 professional sports teams, Michigan, Michigan State. You have all the MAC schools, Horizon League schools in Oakland and Detroit Mercy. High school sports, it's almost like if you care, you're there in Metro Detroit. You go to Lansing, Flint area, Saginaw, Grand Rapids, they'd go, you're crazy. You got to go for an hour-long show on Friday nights with high school football, basketball, and everything else in between. Here, we have a lot to cover, and we try to squeeze high school sports in. Fred made it a priority, and he changed the landscape. And I saw that, and I knew and made it a goal. Like, we have to reflect that in what we do here. The market constantly evolves. Social media changes everything every day. But I think how he changed high school sports and what it means for kids to feel covered and feel empowered and know that their maybe small town school is going to be on TV blasted around the state, that's special. And that's a credit to him. And I remember our last interaction was actually with Beth at a preseason game. It was a national broadcast. Fred was not on the call because it was, I believe, a CBS broadcast. And, I was just sitting there with them, talking with them for a while. And I had in my thought, Chris, I said to myself, I go, it'd be really cheesy to ask them for a picture right now. Just, 2 broadcasting legends and just, good people as I'm sitting there really getting to know them and talk with them for the first time, because I really hadn't talked with them more than a hello, how are you here and there at a Lions practice or whatever it may be. And I didn't take the picture, and I do regret it, but that man has a legacy and really, really changed the entire dynamic of Metro Detroit for a very long time to come.
Well, like I said, I just got this passion 2 years ago to get into radio, and one of my motivations is Fred McLeod, because he just always said to be prepared, work hard, study, know your stuff, and have a passion. And I'm hoping one day, if I'm lucky enough to get into radio, I'll be a quarter as good as he was, because he was one of the best.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. And I think everybody would agree with you.
And same with Beth too. A shout out to Beth. She's been my friend on social media for 10 years and really good person. We're very supportive of what I'm trying to do. Nice. So I just wanted to ask you about him, because he was a huge part of Detroit sports for a long time. He even did the Tiger games on Past Sports for a while there too.
A legend, man. No doubt about it.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Are you okay for a few more questions, Brad?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Chipotle closed here they closed before I got off the air anyway, so it might be a pizza night. Don't tell my wife.
Okay, I won't do that. I had pizza tonight anyway, so
There you go, man. There you
yeah,
go.
pizza guy. My next question that's going to ask you, Brad, what was it like being hired by WXYZ Television in Detroit in 2011? And I guess you already answered the other part of this question. Who helped you kind of around the scenes as a rookie reporter
Yeah,
for the station?
It definitely was Tom. It was Reggie and Ray J, our producers, and man, just such an amazing team here, really, and the family aspect of it all really shined through. And we had a great internship program that, because of the pandemic and everything, is on a big pause. But Reggie was so proud about all of his interns. Scott Hansen, who does the NFL Red Zone across the world, is a Channel 7 intern. We've got some great interns working all across the world, really, but especially here in the States, doing some incredible work covering teams on national networks. Really, really, really cool, strong program that I'm proud to be a part of here. And so to get hired and to say that, I could join that club and be hired here, I didn't take it lightly. And, I was the first Galli within, my cousin group, my grandparents' kids to grandkids to go to college. And, I came out with a lot of loans, man. And I know that's a familiar story for so many, but I treated college like I was in the minor leagues. And like I had to prove myself so that my mentality was, when I graduate in 2011, like I want to get drafted, and I don't want to sit in the minor leagues for a while. And that's the mentality that I push myself with. And, I had a lot of people in my corner here after interning for a while, and Tom gave me some great advice. I had some really, really good people that I always tried to listen to and grow from. And to join the team, and things evolved very quickly. Don Shane retired soon after I was hired. So while I did get to work with him in a really great few months, really, his retirement was jarring, and his last day came in an abrupt way. And he was a legend here, is in halls of fame, and really, really, really left his mark here. But you go on, you move on, and you take those lessons from them and try to instill them in the next generation.
And I was going to say, Detroit's got a great history of broadcasters. Like I said, I'm a huge Detroit fan. Other than I'm not a Lions fan, but Mark Champion, George Blaha, you had the late Ernie Howell, just the late Fred McLeod. It's just so many great guys in that state of Michigan for broadcasters. It's actually probably one of the better states for broadcasters. Even Doc Emmerich was from Michigan too. Yeah, so it must be a tremendous feeling to be a broadcaster in the state of Michigan.
It is special, Chris. It definitely is.
Okay, I was going to ask you the next question. Can you tell us about your hobbies? I guess your sports cards and your favorite all-time card from any sport.
Man, those are good questions. I got into collecting through, my first memory is really my Uncle Jim, my dad's brother, loved collecting and was into everything. He could pull up some slabs like you had there, Barry Sanders, Sergei Fedorov. He collected all the rookies and Iserman, the whole deal. And he got me into it, I remember. And then my parents really, were cool to help me support it. And I caddied for 10 years. I'd spend my checks. They'd drive me to the card store when I'd get my checks on Fridays. And we went to shows at Gibraltar Trade Centers. I just fell in love with it. And when I got to college, like I told you, I had to pay for a lot of it myself. And I actually started paying for some of my loans while I was in school and said, it's time. I'm going to start selling the collection off. I'll save a few things here or there. And I've got a Hendrik Zetterberg autograph SP Authentic rookie card. I said, I'll hang on to that one. That'll be kind of fun, to share with my kids someday. And now that I have kids, as they evolve, I'm like, are they ever really going to know? They never really watched Zetterberg play. But anyways, I started selling off a lot of them to pay for meals and the whole deal in college and pay for, some of the bills. And it was when I got here to 7 and my buddy DJ LeMahieu started playing for the Cubs. He got drafted, won a College World Series. He's now with the Yankees. I started collecting some of his cards. Here's a Topps Now from, what is this from? Walk-off single caps, a 3-run comeback in the 9th.
Cool.
That's just
I like that.
Yeah. I started collecting his stuff, and I've got one-of-ones and patches and autographs, and I started spending too much. And now, Chris, I can't even touch his stuff because he's on the Yankees, and anything I try to get of his is we go to the All-Star game with him every year. He makes it, and we go in the parade with him and the whole deal and celebrate with his family and his in-laws. there's a triple patch booklet. Oh, I got 10% of battery left on my phone. Sorry, I should have charged it better. There's a triple patch booklet, and this guy online wants like $2-3 grand for it. I'm like, I'm not spending $2-3 grand on a card like that, especially for just a friend. Like, we'll see if I ever get that in the trade or whatever I can do, or if I can ever make a deal with the guy. But I have some cool 1-of-1 patch cards from the All-Star games of DJ's stuff that I cherish, just because, he would go to, he'd collect with me, and we'd pop into the stores every once in a while. And he still every once in a while will go to, Target with his wife and buy a couple packs of cards. So those kind of memories, collecting with my brother, collecting with my uncle, and then kind of creating this new chapter in my life is fun. I like collecting a lot of the hockey players that we cover here in Michigan. A lot of kids that grow up in the national team development program in Plymouth. Those guys are fun to collect. I pulled a Jack Hughes autograph rookie card last year. We spent a whole day in his life and told the whole story that a bunch of people around the league shared. Bob McKenzie retweeted it and shared it all. So it got a lot of traction, and we still laugh to this day. I go, hey, I pulled your autograph card. He's like, you're a loser, man, in a fun, endearing way. But I think so. I hope so. But collecting local guys, that's what I enjoy doing. And then I got into Star Wars collecting once I realized, like, wow, they do a lot of the same stuff. Memorabilia, autographs.
Yep.
I pulled an autograph out of 5 of Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey in the new movies. And that one I cherish. But these really cool cards, to me, I always go back to this. They cut out pieces of the Millennium Falcon and put them on these cards. And to me,
Wow,
I'm like, that's
cool.
one of the coolest relics used from the movie, right?
Wow,
So
cool.
we've got a few of those at my house, and my son and daughter enjoy always feeling the Millennium Falcon, and we like those. Those are cool.
I was going to say I was born in the 70s, so my late dad got me into cards, and I remember getting them for 25 cents a pack and getting that stick of gum. And the problem is, back then I had a whole bunch of Wayne Gretzky O-Pee-Chee rookie cards, but back then kids in the 70s didn't protect cards. We played with them or used them on our bike spokes.
Right.
So, and I had a whole bunch of Star Wars original stuff in the 70s, and I wish back then I had put some of it aside and kept it in mint condition.
Isn't it crazy, man? We kick ourselves. I pulled a Connor McDavid autograph SP Authentic rookie card, and we were expecting our first child, and I had it on eBay for a long time. And I said, man, I paid $140 for the box. If we can get $700 for this thing, that'd be great. And then, he started succeeding. He had the collarbone deal and came back, and it was like halfway through his second season where I think I finally sold it. I got $720 for it with fees and everything afterwards. Maybe 600, 580. Those things now, Chris, 10, 15 grand. Whoops.
Well, like I said, with mine, I have a huge collection, but the problem is my 2 nieces and my nephews are not really into this, so I have to figure out one day what I want to do with all this stuff, because I've collected it over the years, and I find a lot of the younger people nowadays aren't into it like we are.
I know, and that's what I think is significant about this boom in the industry. It's driven by a lot of guys our age, right? Like in their 30s and 40s that are trying to, guys with money, women with money that grew up when we did, and they say, oh, I want to put my money back into something. Well, why not get a collectible and make it valuable? If you can get an 8x10 sign, that's great.
Yeah.
But this Giannis Antetokounmpo autograph rookie card is only limited to 99, and it's got a piece of patch on it, and it's certified. And hold on, let's put value in this. And there's already value there, and now the value is skyrocketing. Grading has gotten, out of hand. And so, yeah, you're right, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens with 20-somethings and teenagers now, if they carry the torch with this hobby, or if this will kind of die out with our generation.
Definitely. Are you okay for 3 more questions?
Yeah, man, for sure.
Is that okay?
My phone will make it, I hope. If I die on you, we'll see what we'll do here.
Okay, no worries. The next question is going to ask you favorite Detroit sports memory. Maybe not currently, but in the past.
The 2002 Stanley Cup. That was my favorite team. I'll keep it short and simple on that one. That was the best team I've ever seen and probably will ever see.
Well, there was 12 Hall of Famers on that team too.
And Scotty Bowman, like that was, we'll never see anything like that again.
And that's the best way to leave as a head coach, is winning a championship. That was the perfect way for Scotty to leave.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Definitely. Okay. And then just two other questions I wanted to ask you, Brad. I could talk to you for hours, but
No, I back at you, man. This is great.
yeah, you're a good guy. I've always liked you. Just want your thoughts on the 2021. I'm not a Detroit Lions fan. I'm an Eagles fan, but don't boo me. But I love the Eagles, but I know we're in a rebuild. We win a Super Bowl and now we're in a rebuild. But
Great.
I was going to ask you what you thought of the 2021 Detroit Lions draft and the current state of the Wings, Pistons, and Tigers, just kind of quickly.
Yeah, we hit on those current states of the other teams, but the Lions one is a good one. I think a boring draft, Chris, is something we haven't seen from the Lions in a while. And I think that's a good thing. You know, I'm not going to go and say like everybody does with the Lions so much and drink Kool-Aid, but it seems like there's a plan, and we'll judge the plan on the field this fall. What Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia did, I was not a fan of. There was arrogance there that permeated throughout the roster, and it was rough. It was an ugly tear down of a culture there. And I get it. They came from a winning culture, but I wasn't a fan of it. With these guys, it seems like people are getting behind it and they're steering the ship the right way. That's all fun and dandy, but you got to see what the results will be like in the fall, because you can have sound bites about biting kneecaps, but they only work if they're out there winning, double-digit games, on a year-to-year basis. So I like what they did in the draft. I think building a big offensive line is smart. We've seen winning franchises do that consistently for decades. The reason why everybody continues to talk about this Cowboys team is because they built that team with the line. Then they got Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. And then, you can have interchangeable running backs all of a sudden go through holes like that. So they're putting Jared Goff in a position to succeed. Their defense is going to be awful, I believe, this year. But I think what they did in the draft was a solid first step for this regime.
Okay, definitely. And you got Brad Holmes, the new GM, Dan Campbell, the coach, and I guess Rod Wood's still the president, I believe.
Yeah, he's still there and looking like, ideally taking more of a back seat, but it seemed like he's been on some of the personnel decisions, but he makes it very clear it's a Brad Holmes driven ship. They're just all trying to get on the same page rather than just kind of Bob Quinn running everything and, everyone has to answer to him.
Okay. Just a quick yes or no on this one. Matthew Stafford, greatest quarterback in Lions history, and should his number 9 be retired?
Yes and yes. I like what he did in the field, man. I really did. And I think he'll succeed in LA.
Okay, definitely. And there's one number I want to see retired at Little Caesars Arena, and I don't know why. I know it's political, but Sergei Fedorov, should his number finally be retired in Detroit?
Yeah, I do believe so, man. I mean, the accomplishments he had, you can't even say political. It got personal, right? I mean,
it's personal, yes.
He left, the story is well documented, but yes, to answer your question, yes. His accolades give him merit to have his jersey number retired in any other city for any other franchise. And while the Red Wings have a storied history here, no one should wear 91 again. They haven't since he left, and I think it should be formally done, and it should be done soon.
And what's the latest on Lou Whitaker's number 1? I know it was supposed to get retired last August, but because of the COVID, are they planning on doing something for the Lou Whitaker this summer?
That is a good question and something we should probably follow up on. I do know that the professional teams are just, as you see, everyone's being very cautious. And even with the Rock Mortgage Classic saying yesterday, they're allowing fans, but they didn't tell us how many, and they didn't exactly roll out a big ticket plan. They're going on the information they have now. And, hopefully, I think we can all hope we can safely get back to a more open world, again, in a safe manner this summer. And so, that would be nice to see that number, join the other greats there at Comerica Park.
And he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, too. I don't understand why, because to me, I grew up as a Tigers fan in the 70s. Tram and Lou were my 2 favorite players. Sweet Lou and Tram. And my cousins, I want to give them a shout out in Taylor, Michigan, because they're the ones that when I visited Michigan as a young kid, they got me into the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons and stuff like that. And they're even a bigger sports fan than I am.
Man, that's great.
Yeah. So last question, Brad. I know I don't want to keep it too long. Last question I wanted to ask you is, do you have any advice, not just for me, but for anyone watching tonight that's looking to pursue a career in broadcasting, TV, radio, etc.?
That information and tip that you said Fred McLeod gave, always be prepared. And exactly what you're doing right now. Get the reps. Know what you're going to have information so that if the power goes out in the stadium if there's a rain delay, you can fill. If there's something that happens on the ice and a glass plane breaks, you're ready to sit there and talk for 20 minutes about whatever you can do. Be over prepared. There's never such thing as being too much prepared. And then something great that Don Shane always told me was the best question in an interview usually comes from a follow-up, and it comes from listening. And so the best interviews come from listening, because you can go in with a pad full of papers and have all your notes here ready to go and ready to hit everybody. But if you don't listen to the answers, you may miss the greatest attempt at a follow-up, because we know with athletes sometimes they have their couched answers ready to go. But it's just that extra one. And I actually have this here, an autograph of Tom Rinaldi from ESPN, who's now
cool.
He asks a simple question sometimes. Why? How? So simple, but it makes the interview subject, actually think about answering the question, not just the couched answer. And so that is a big tip that I always ask or always offer up. Just listen. When you're doing an interview, listen. And sometimes that's what creates the best answer.
Okay, and my friend Pat, who's with the National Lacrosse League, told me the same advice as well. I always listen to the questions, because sometimes I write down my questions, prepare them, and sometimes the guest already answers them in a previous question. So
yeah,
I try to okay, if that's answered, like you said, listen, then I don't have to ask that same question. So
yeah.
But like you said, Brad, I'm hoping, like I said, I can have you maybe come back on again, maybe sometime in the summertime, maybe.
That'd be fun, man. I'd like that. That'd be a great thing.
But I was going to say, I really appreciate you coming on, Brad. And like I said, hopefully I will be lucky enough to get a career in radio. And one other thing before I let you go, I had a guest that had to cancel on me a week ago, and it happens 15 minutes before my show. And I still went on and I talked for over an hour. So that's something I've learned too.
See?
I've got to learn.
Hey, the graphics and everything here look great, man. Really, that's really slick.
Thank you. It's StreamYard. I use StreamYard instead of Zoom, and I put all my questions and all my stats and graphics on here. And can you, just before you go, just tell people where they can find you? I guess you're on WXYZ, but any other thing my audience might want to know before you go?
Yeah, I know we reach parts of Ontario over the air on WXYZ, and that is always awesome to see. People on Twitter saying, "Hey, we just caught you over here, just over the border," and like seeing this. And listen, man, I love hockey. We've been pulling up a lot of youth hockey, especially lately. We had some national champions here, so for everyone over there, know that we're always keeping hockey top of mind. But on WXYZ Channel 7 over the air, WMYD-TV 20 at 10 o'clock every weeknight. That's where you can catch me. WXYZ.com is our website. But if you're looking for social media, I love interacting with everybody at Brad Galli, Galli, and then on Facebook too, Brad Galli, WXYZ. So check us all out, man. We got a good team working here. Our producer Mike Foss, my coworker Justin Rose. Our sports department is small, but we love working hard, and we're all from Michigan, and we're all from the Metro Detroit area. So like you, Chris, we have a lot of passion for this community, and we don't take for granted the jobs that we have.
And I was going to say, and I have you guys on my cable here too, so I get to watch you guys a lot. So, but like I said, again, Brad, I want to say thank you so much. And maybe the next time we can talk maybe a little more about the Gulf Storm alumni on the Red Wings, and Tyler Bertuzzi and Robbie Fabry and Giovanni Smith and Richard Pankin. So
how about that? Giovanni getting into another fight last night. I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor, man.
Thank you again, Brad, and we'll keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. See ya.
You too. Good night.
Good night.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my interview tonight with Brad Galli, the sports anchor and reporter for WXYZ-TV in Detroit, Channel 7. He's been with them since 2011, and he's one of the best broadcasters in the business as far as I'm concerned. So I really appreciate Brad coming on. Brad was also named the Sportscaster of the Year in Michigan by the National Sports Media Association for 2018. And Brad also earned an Emmy for 2016 for excellence in sports anchoring in Michigan. So if you guys do have WXYZ on your cable package and you love sports, check out Brad and the rest of them on there. But I really appreciate him coming on tonight. And he's a huge sports fan like I am, and he's got a huge Star Wars collection as I do. So anyways, let's see some of the comments before I go tonight. Let's see. Mark Richardson. Hi, Chris. Hi, Mark. Thank you for coming on as always. Trevor Spencer. Hi, Chris. Good show. Very knowledgeable. Yeah, do high school. Yes, they do. Trevor, high school sports in the States, especially in Michigan, is just as big as pro sports. It's not like Ontario or Canada, but yeah, definitely, Trevor, to answer your question, high school sports is just almost as important as pro sports over there. It's huge business. And let's see. Michael, thanks for the shout out, Chris. Great show today. Thank you so much, Michael. Hey, you guys are the ones that got me into I originally grew up as a Jays and Maple Leafs fan living near Toronto in the 70s, but going over to see you and Terry and everybody in Allen Park and Taylor, you guys are the ones that turned me into Tiger and Red Wing Pistons fans. So, like I said, you guys are a part of the reason I always love sports, but you guys turned me into being a Detroit fan, except for the Lions. Other than Billy Sims and Barry Sanders, I was never a Lions fan other than Billy's. And a lot of people don't remember how great Billy Sims was. He was the pre-Barry Sanders before Sanders came to Detroit in '89. So, Mike, thank you really so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And Brad's a good guy. I'm going to hopefully have him on again. And Mark Richardson, great guest. Oh, definitely. And I will do my best to get Brad on again, and we'll maybe talk a little more about the Tigers and the Red Wings and the Pistons, and maybe the Michigan Wolverines too. I didn't really get a chance to ask Brad about the Wolverines tonight, but hopefully again. But anyways, like I said, guys, everyone who watches this now or later on, thank you so much. And guys, just to let you know that I am on Anchor FM. You can listen to my podcast on audio now on Anchor FM, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I'm on about 12 platforms. So if you guys can't watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, you guys can check out my podcast later on audio only. So again, I've been lucky to have great guests. The guests make a podcast. I'm just the guy that's asking the questions. I'm lucky to have guests on. And Brian Koziel from WGR, the Sabres pregame, postgame host, was great enough to come on yesterday. And then Brad was great enough to come on today. And like I said, I have another guest coming on tomorrow. If you guys can bear with me, and I will let you know who my next guest is tomorrow at 2:30. And this is a non-sports one, but this is somebody that's created their own business in Guelph, and I think it's great. I have Jordan Foster. She's the founder and creator of Milko Cookies in Guelph. You can check her out at milkcookies.com. She's going to be my guest tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern time here on 30 Minutes Live with CDP. And if you like cookies or premium cookies, she's a person to talk to. So I can't eat them anymore, but I just wanted to promote her business here. So yeah, Jordan Foster from the creator and founder of Milko Cookies will be on my podcast tomorrow at 2:30. And I've got more guests coming up next weekend as well. Next Wednesday, I have Pat Gregor from coolbet.canada. Coolbet.com here in Canada, and the color analyst for the National Lacrosse League's Halifax Thunderbirds will be on and talk to us about the National Lacrosse League and Coolbet. And then Friday, May 14th, I will have at 8 o'clock Aaron Sanders, who is the online streaming voice of the National Basketball League of Canada's Windsor Express. And I'll tell you, this kid, Aaron Sanders, he's got a bright future in broadcasting. Check out Aaron Sanders on YouTube and his demo and some of his work doing the Windsor Express NBL of Canada games. He is really good, and I hope one day he gets a chance to move up into the NBA for sure. So anyways, guys, just give me 1 second. I'm going to call it a night, but like I said, I know the Tigers lost again today, 12-9. So the Tigers are now, I believe, 9-23 on the season. They lost 12-9 to the Boston Red Sox today, and the Red Wings are finishing up their season with 2 road games at Columbus, I believe. And I know the Buffalo Sabres are playing tonight in Pittsburgh and Saturday in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to cheer for Michael Hauser, the former London Knights goalie, and hopefully he can play the last 2 games for the Sabres and win. His story has been great, making as a 28-year-old goalie in the NHL after playing 300 plus games in the minor leagues with the American Hockey League and the East Coast Hockey League as well. So, like I said, and the OHL draft was last night. Sudbury Wolves got the number 1 pick overall, and the Guelph Storm are going to be picking number 3. And that's the Storm should get a good player out of that. And the import draft, if I'm correct, the Storm are going to get the 18th selection in the import draft, the European import draft as well. So fingers crossed that the OHL can start up finally in August, and September we can have fans in the arenas again as well. So anyways, guys, I'm going to call it a night. But I just want to say again, thank you to Brad Galli from WXYZ Television in Detroit. Brad's my first Detroit media guy to come on my podcast, so that means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, guys, we'll see you tomorrow at 2:30 with Jordan Foster from Milk Cold Cookies in Guelph. Have a good night, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks again for watching 30 Minutes Live with CDP.